Welcome, one and all. It's Garrett, it's Joe, it's Wrestle Fandom Radio.
WFR, baby.
Brought to you by Rocking Horse Tattoo and Seasonal Sports.
Woo, woo.
Joe, what is up?
What is up, brother?
So, before we get to anything else, if you watched last week, I pointed out we even went a little bit late because of the issue with loading the videos in. It literally wasn't me.
I'm still convinced that Z had a role to play in that. And the fact that we haven't seen him in weeks, and then the day we start having issues with a computer, he rolls in at the end of the episode to run his mouth to you.
That's a solid theory.
It comes pretty suspect.
Yeah, that's a solid theory.
And
and now Todd isn't even here today. Todd was supposed to be here today.
And his car broke down.
His car broke down and it's in the shop. It's classic Z. I swear, if I find out there was tampering with Todd's car, there will be hell to pay.
It is what it is.
He's a good co-host. He's been great.
He's been great, man.
I love having him here. But back to my original point, I missed a video because we were moving so long,
Give me time out. Your beard and your hair are getting back to the.
They're getting longer again. Don't worry. I'm getting a hair. I'm getting a haircut. No, I'm cutting the hair again. It's going to be even
just
shorter.
Cut the sides. Keep the top long. Keep the beard out.
The beard, I'm not cutting at all.
Because if it keeps going at this pace, by Christmas time, we might be able to braid our beards together.
that absolutely could happen. Okay, so when I was at the ICW show, I want everyone to see it, but Matic had a blindfold on,
right?
Wrestling with it, fighting with it.
Matic San.
Yeah,
Medic San.
Yeah, Medic San.
Refer to him by his proper name. I don't want to happen to me what happened to you.
Well, yeah, and by that, we're gonna show everybody right now.
Roll the tapes.
When I caught Matt backstage.
Yeah, over here. Hey. Oh, you doing? Oh, okay. Anyways, how did you go? Can you really see through that with that thing? Say who? Do that. Can you see through it? See what? I need. No, it's black. Danny, relying on all my senses. All your senses. How? Like smell. Hearing. Really? I mean, I'm not. Hey-ya! Yeah, like I said. Smell? Here. Right back to you, cameraman.
So I caught my first karate chop at a show.
How's your chest feel?
It was all right. It kind of caught me like right here.
On the
throat and the chest up
You're
here.
Lucky
right
to break your collarbone, man.
I know he could have. He could have crushed my windpipe. Broke my collarbone. Anything. He's a big guy. He's strong.
And
his skills are.
He's a karate master.
They're legendary. So
yeah.
So that happened, and also with seasonal sports here. If you would like to visit our store and get yourself some gear.
Get some gear. I've been swamped with work all week, so I haven't been able to update any of the socials. I haven't been able to work on any of the designs, but I have some ideas for some designs I want.
Yeah. No, work has been crazy. Everything's been crazy. Trying to get in is that's just nuts. But yeah. So what's going on? What's up with the
I got
news?
A story for you.
Oh, I'm sure you do, because you went and saw
Bang Bang
Mick Foley,
Bang Bang.
The one and only.
So me, actually, Dez from Dez and Troy.
Okay.
Dez joined me, and my other friend from work, Bobby. We went out. Actually, Leopold Chestnuts was supposed to join us, but I think he might have got. I don't know. He's had a lot going on since he was terminated from the North Pole.
Right.
He
wasn't in rehab again, was he?
No. At one point, I think he was working for the Leprechauns.
Oh, okay.
But I think that was only a seasonal job during the month of March. So he might have gainful employment now, but he had reached out. It was a real weird voicemail. He sounded pretty intoxicated, but he said he wasn't going to be able to make it.
That guy.
So we go, and we're driving out there. It was out in Albany. It wasn't his 57th birthday show that they had in Syracuse. They didn't have any of the meet and greet tickets available, so the following night out in Albany at the venue was called the Linda. They had the meet and greets there, so we purchased tickets for there. So we're driving out. Dez is driving. I'm in passenger seat. My buddy Bobby's in the back. So I had ordered a Mankind comic from the late 90s. It got Mankind on there. He's like, Mr. Sacco, everything. So I was like, this is what I'm going to get signed from Foley. And I look at Bobby behind me. I'm like, Bobby, what are you going to get signed? And Bobby reaches forward, and he's got Dude Love Funko. I'm like, that's dope.
Nice.
So I look at Dez, and I go, Dez, what are you going to get? And he looks at me, because, he's a man of many words.
Yeah.
And he reaches back behind him, and he pulls out a 24-pack of white tube socks. And I look at him and go, you're going to make it Mr. Sacco? He shakes his head yes, and he points at me, and he points at Bobby, and he points at the sock. And I'm like, and we're going to make Mr. Saccos? He nods yes again. And so we get out there, and we grabbed a couple beverages. We opened up Dez's doors. We plugged in my phone. We listened to some WWE theme music, drank some brewskis, and we made Saccos.
Nice.
Before going into the show. It was awesome. So it was time to go in. And when you walk in, the stage is kind of right of center.
Okay.
And it didn't look like they had actual backstage access. You all right there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. The whole camera shaking. That was my elbow smashing the table.
But they had a door, ground level to the left side of it.
Okay.
And all the rows were set up in front of the stage, but there was a row perpendicular to it. So, and it was much closer. So we went and sat there. So essentially Foley would have to walk out past us. So I don't know if anybody's watched Holy Foley, but the guy that was training Noel, Daniel Barry, he is actually his opener. And he does his own stand-up comedy routine. The guy was funny as hell. And then Mick comes out. So Mick comes out, and he's wearing black T-shirt, cut-off red flannel. And he gets on stage. And I just happened to be, I don't know if our minds were connected, but you saw what I was wearing last episode, my Cactus Jack tee and my red flannel. So he comes up, he talks for a minute or two, and then he says, I normally don't open the show like this, but I want to take one question from the crowd to get the ball rolling. So immediately, your CHAMP's hand is up in the air. And he looks, he sees me, he goes, and how about that sharply dressed man over there?
That's awesome.
So I go, crowd goes quiet, and the first question of the night is, can I have a hug? And the crowd starts laughing. And Mick Foley's looking at me like I'm crazy. And he goes, yeah, sure, I guess. So I get up and I go to walk on stage, and he goes, stop right there. I go, ooh. He goes, there's going to be some stipulations to this hug. That's understandable. And he goes, it's going to be a bro hug. When I mean bro hug, nothing below the waist shall be touching. It shall be one-armed, and nothing homoerotic is going to transpire. I agree to these terms against my best judgment, and I go on stage, and I approach the hardcore legend himself, and he sticks out a fist. So I'm like, well, fist bump's better than nothing. I fist bump him. I turn around and go to walk off. He's like, oh, come here, buddy. And I get a nice side hug from Mick Foley. Crowd goes nuts. I walk out, hands up, like the champ I am, and return to my seat. And it was a great moment of my life. Like, it's something I will tell my great-grandchildren about, how
that's awesome.
Their great-grandfather participated in a hug from the hardcore legend himself. Mankind, Dude Love, Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, whatever you want to call him. But we shared a tender moment in time that will always, always remain. But he was fantastic. Even if you aren't a wrestling fan, his stuff is funny. But if you're a wrestling fan, it takes it to another level. His impressions are spot on. Toward the end of the show, he did take a Q&A. And one guy was like, hey, it's my birthday. I got a question. And Mick immediately stops him. He goes, it's your birthday? So he's like, why don't you come up on stage? And the guy had like a white shirt on with a black tie, and he had like skin tight black jeans. He kind of looked like a millennial version of Mankind.
Right.
You know? And then he asked if anybody else in the crowd's birthday it was. There's like 2 other people to get on stage. And then he proceeded to serenade them in only how he can with a Mankind mask as Mankind and sung them his version of Happy Birthday.
Nice.
And it was glorious. Absolutely glorious. And
Todd says he's jealous. He's in here in the comments. He's watching.
Todd, buddy, we miss you. I really hope Z isn't the one who messed with his card, because I hate to bring Todd into this craziness that happens here. But so then it show's over. It's time for the meet and greet, and of course they're doing the meet and greet right next to the door we're sitting at. And out of the 250 people there, 2/3 of them had meet and greet tickets. We're the second people to get our stuff signed. So he was given out by 8x10s. He signed that. He signed my comic. I was giving my 8x10 to my kids. And I felt horrible that Leopold wasn't able to join us. So I explained to Mick that we had a friend that was supposed to call me, wasn't able to make it. Would he sign my Sacco so I could give it to Leopold? And that loving man, Mick Foley, gave me an extra signature and signed the Sacco. So Leopold is now a proud owner of a Joseph Stone's drawn Mr. Sacco, signed by Mick himself.
That's awesome.
And like, if you have any love at all for Mick Foley or for the industry or whatever, it's worth your time. It's worth your money to go see this man. Like, he's so eloquent, far more eloquent on a mic than I am. And he's so knowledgeable. He has so many stories, and the way he tells the stories is so funny. Like, his Mr. McMahon impression is fantastic. His Terry Funk, he does a Dusty Rhodes.
He probably does a really good Terry Funk.
Well, his Mick, like, it's so good. And like, and a lot of the stories that he told were stories that I haven't heard on documentaries or other shows or anything else. And the man is a wealth of knowledge, and like the way he's fantastic. There's a reason why he's a New York Times bestselling writer,
right?
Because he's amazing. But that was my experience a week ago. I wish it wasn't a week ago. I wish I could just relive it every day, because part of me now will forever be yearning for Miss Foley's Bouncing Baby Boys embrace. I gave him the card for the show, so Mick, if you watch us at any point, you're a great hugger. I just want to let you know.
Come on the show.
Yeah, right.
Make us famous.
Oh, yeah, right.
So yeah, dude, that's awesome.
But I do have a couple news points. There's, honestly, like, this is the first week in a while where we haven't had a crazy amount of news or crazy amount of things happen.
Sasha Banks just underwent
eye surgery. So that almost makes me feel like this whole thing's been a work.
It's all been a work. It's all of it's a work everywhere. Both companies doing the same style thing. It's all a work, I think.
The biggest news that broke, not yesterday, but the day before,
right,
was... Oh, no, it was yesterday, because it was early Monday morning. Wait, it was yesterday, Tuesday? Yeah, so 2 days ago. At 10 a.m., Jeff Hardy was arrested for DWI again. Did you see the video?
No, I didn't see the video, but I heard that his level was like 3 times that of like...
.291 at one point and .293 at another.
Like, that's crazy.
And they released the dash cam of the footage, and he essentially was... At one point, it looked like he tried to drive away, and he had 3 Florida cops literally have him at gunpoint because he was acting so erratic. And they see him get out of the vehicle, and like, what? I think TMZ has the dash cam footage, but like, he looks horrible. But Tony Khan addressed it yesterday. He put out a statement that Jeff is on immediate indefinite suspension, not paid, until he completes a rehab thing, and then he will be welcomed back with open arms, is how he said it.
He needs to stop wrestling, man.
I don't know if it's so much stop wrestling, because I think he definitely does need something to focus on.
He's trying to self-medicate again. It's so obvious. You know what I mean?
I think he might have to take a different approach to it, evolve his style, maybe take a different role. I think having nothing to do after coming out of rehab would probably be the worst thing for him.
See, that's why I think for them, the stuff like the Hardy Family Office was perfect.
I agree.
And then it's like, oh, no, they still want to wrestle. Let's get him in. And it's like, no, like Matt can't move his back. He can't bend. You know what I mean? And Jeff just has, like, you know, all these,
it's sad.
All these
and
type
like,
of issues. Like, they were, AEW was, when they started, using older wrestlers as they should be used.
I agree.
You know, like, stick with it. And like, and the Hardys aren't, it's not like they're not even old.
They're like the same age as you.
You know what I mean? Shut up. They're not, but they're old.
I believe
they're
Jeff's 44.
They're older than me, but they
by 6 months.
Shut up. But they went through too much. You know what I mean? They burned the candle at both ends
and
for
I
a
agree.
long time.
But the thing with Jeff is
they just can't do that.
The thing with Jeff is Jeff, unlike Matt, can still kind of perform that stuff. And I know that approaching
But this is what happens.
Right. But like they're like, Matt, can you do it? Matt, can you handle it? And Matt, being a grown ass man and an adult, is like, yeah, I can do it. And then he'll go 6 months. But this is his third DWI in a year.
Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. Like in a year.
Right.
Like he's obviously has a problem that really, really does need to be addressed because he needs to find a way to battle his demons without looking for that at the bottom of the bottle. And like you said, he could be self-medicating. It could be something else, but regardless, he has a very, very bad issue. And thankfully, nobody's been hurt thus far.
Yeah.
And I think this is beyond a wake-up call. This is beyond giving somebody a second, third chance. Like this is somebody needs to sit him down and be like, listen, you need to do this or you're not going to be welcome in this industry anymore.
Right.
And essentially, like, at the end of the day, what's a greater motivator than your pockets? Like,
right.
And
you know, and then too, to look at, like, so many people were quick to crap on WWE when they, after that event, when they, like, wanted to let him go.
Right.
But it's like, maybe they made the right choice, because now if they hadn't, they'd be dealing with this and not Tony Khan. So,
right.
You know, I mean, it's always the whole, you know, and plus the way, you know, social media is and everyone thinks their opinion matters and has a voice. And it's like, you know, everyone's so quick to throw out and be like, oh, of course, that's what, you know, but maybe they were right.
Right.
How long were they dealing with it? You know, they were, you know, it was between them and then, you know, or TNA or Impact for a while. And then he was back with it. So it's like,
I think it's funny how people are reacting to, like, Tony Khan offering to send him to rehab. Everybody's completely cool with it. I don't know if anybody remembers, but Vince offered to send him to rehab too, and the fact that he didn't accept it was why he left the company.
Right.
And it kind of strikes me as odd that, like, and there's a lot of, including from Jeff himself, criticism to Vince McMahon for wanting to send him to rehab.
Right.
And, like, at the end of the day, like, he was trying to help you. And I know, like, we all can say what we want about Vince and whatever. And I, like, personally, I think creatively he's lost his edge. But despite being a very, very good and sometimes ruthless businessman, majority of guys that have worked at WWE talk about how empathic he is to them. Like,
right.
Like Mick Foley's his biggest flag waver. Like Stone Cold, they very notoriously butt heads behind the scenes. Has always said that, like, at the end of the day, Vinny's one of my best friends. Like,
right.
And it just, I think Vince gets a bad rap. I think a lot of times reality and kayfabe get kind of mixed together, and people really think that he is that Mr. McMahon character.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, he can only do so much for these guys before he has to make a choice that is ultimately best for business.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't save everybody. Like, you truly can't. And
yeah, and if you think that he won't make any decision, I refer to you to the Montreal Screwjob. Okay, he did what was best for business, and I would have made that same choice if I was him.
Yeah.
And stupid bug. Yeah.
And
So if you think he won't make that, but if he's nice enough to try and send you to rehab when there's an obvious problem, take it.
And talking about this too, if anybody out there listening or whatever, if you have an issue, somebody who has an issue, there are so many different resources to get the ball rolling to help out loved ones. Like it, especially in this day and age, it is not anything to be ashamed of. Like we all, especially coming out of COVID and everything else, like we've all self-medicated, whether it be with food or alcohol, whatever. Like, but when you have a problem, you got to deal with it because the problem's not just going to go away. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of different programs. There's people you can reach out to. I mean, you can reach out to Garrett. Garrett has no problem talking to you. I have no problem talking to you about it. Look, and it's just you got to make steps.
It wouldn't be the first time trying to help somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and don't be afraid if you see somebody with a problem. Don't be afraid to stick your hand out.
But you got to speak up because in a lot of instances, not saying anything is just as bad as it's equivalent to not doing anything.
Yeah,
like
you gotta try and
as uncomfortable the situation may be, it's
because then if you even try and help, you've done your part.
Especially if it's a loved one. Like,
if you can't make anyone do something, but you can do your part.
Exactly.
So,
and sometimes knowing that you tried is better than knowing that. Hey, well, what if I? No, like it.
Oh, I should have done something. Didn't do it.
So more news. So there's kind of an update a little bit on the whole Stephanie McMahon stepping down.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
So I guess first of all, she's still on the board of directors.
Okay.
She never left the board of directors. So I guess earlier this year, Major League Wrestling was entering into talks with the app Tubi to basically have a TV deal with Tubi, but it would be on the streaming platform they would live stream whatever their programs are. Essentially, there's a lawsuit now for it's an antitrust lawsuit from Major League Wrestling to WWE, and the person named in that lawsuit is Stephanie McMahon. So from what I'm reading, essentially, Stephanie called up Fox. And, Fox does business with Tubi or whatever, and was like, you guys need to talk to Tubi, and you guys need to kill that deal because you're not going to be streaming our show because SmackDown's on Fox.
On Fox now, yeah.
And also, advertising streaming our competition. You're not doing that. And I guess that's part of the reason why she stepped down as the chief executive. She's still on the board of directors, but...
So because MLW filed
a lawsuit against WWE.
Lawsuit. Okay, because Tubi is a subsidiary of Fox.
I don't know if they're a subsidiary of Fox. I know they do business with Fox because Tubi's almost like kind of like how Hulu is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where they have contracts with different company to stream their product. So
so they're disconnected enough to where it can hold up. You think?
I think first of all they'd have to prove that
Stephanie killed it.
That Stephanie killed it.
Okay.
And I think that's going to come down to exactly how she said it, or if anybody recorded the phone call. Because unless that phone call was recorded, essentially that's hearsay. Stephanie could be like, well, no, I told them that if they're going to be doing business with somebody else, once our contract is done, we will no longer be doing business with Fox. And, she could word it however which way she wants. But
right.
if you got Stephanie McMahon on the phone with a Fox executive, be like, you need to fucking kill that deal right now, or we're done with you guys, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because it kind of sucks having, even though Steph really hasn't been on screen since Triple H hasn't. It's always nice to know that she can come out to wreak havoc at any given time.
Right.
And we have our first participant has been won their match for the Money in the Bank this year.
Okay.
And it's the Monday Night Messiah himself, Seth frickin' Rollins. And then we have 3 participants for the women's. Liv Morgan, Lacey Evans, and Alexa Bliss.
Is she wrestling more? You know, 'cause like she came back and then she wrestled like one match.
She hasn't really done too. I think they're kind of waiting. I think they're waiting for Money in the Bank to really get her rolling.
Okay.
And something else. And then so next week we got Becky Lynch versus Asuka for their qualifier. But something else which I think is very, very interesting was announced for Raw this upcoming week.
Okay.
Elias in concert. Ezekiel's older brother is. Are we going to get Ezekiel and Elias in the same room? Like,
no, they're the
do you
same.
Do you think
person.
Ezekiel's going to sing backup for him? Maybe
that's just
maybe he's a drummer. I don't know, but like finally we are going to get the 2 brothers together. Like I'm so stoked about this, dude. Like
it's just so ridiculous.
It is ridiculous that we haven't seen Elias in so long.
It's just, I don't know.
I'm ready to walk with him again.
We should have been walking with him all along.
I agree.
This is crap.
I'm curious how they're going to play that
Prime
off.
IC title, level dude, and then just go. Why was he gone so long? Was there an injury? Was he?
I think it was part of this whole. Like when they take somebody off air for a while, repackage them, give it some time, and then bring them back. I think that's what it was.
So stupid.
And then there's a stipulation added to the Roman Reigns versus Riddle match.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look into that. What was that?
Tonight's episode kicked off with Paul Heyman appearing on Miz TV. The Miz said whomever wins Money in the Bank will likely cash in on Roman Reigns. Heyman said that if anyone tries, that they will fail, and reveals there's a stipulation added to the Roman Reigns versus Riddle match in this week's SmackDown. Riddle came out and wants to find out what it is. Heyman said if Riddle wins, he will be the champion. But if he loses, as long as Roman Reigns is champion, Riddle can no longer challenge for the undisputed title.
I mean,
I don't understand, unless they, have some sort of, huge push slated for Riddle.
Yeah.
That's like a waste of that stipulation.
It's a super waste of that stipulation.
Like, if you were using that stipulation on somebody like Randy Orton?
Yeah, okay. You need to have, he needs that, because he was he was like a fighter. So he needs to, if you're going to push that, you need to push him in another way first.
I would love to see Riddle in
push
theory.
the bigger guys first.
Right.
You know what I mean? To be like, Riddle's come undone. He's kind of dangerous. And you know what I mean? So,
a Riddle in theory program for the U.S. title, I think, would be a perfect spot. And with their fighting styles, would be a very, very good program for both of them. And since they're both relative newcomers, too, it would give them both kind of that experience with somebody that's kind of on their same level with the same experience to help elevate each other up without having to use the crutch of somebody like Randy Orton,
right,
or Mr. McMahon's protege, using those things where let's see if these guys can actually tell a story themselves.
Right.
And I think that instead of we all know what we already know what's happening with Riddle versus Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a decent match. Roman Reigns is going to win somehow, and that takes, out of all the names that are on the whiteboard, that just crosses Riddle off for challenging for the undisputed title.
Right. But then, if he can't actually challenge for it, you could use that as while he becomes more dangerous, and if he's feuding with Roman, if he was to get the upper hand in a fight, and knee him 10 times in the face and manage that, and then walk off, whoever ends up with the Money in the Bank could.
But what if Riddle ends up in Money in the Bank, wins Money in the Bank, but he loses his match against Roman Reigns?
Well, then he
essentially, what's he going to cash in for? The IC title, the US title, or does he have to sit there and wait till Roman loses it, or? I just think it's.
I don't know. It's a
weird
place to go. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with anything.
Because I feel like that stipulation wouldn't be there unless there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it's got to be. They got to be setting up for something. But
right.
So now, in ICW news, unfortunately, Max Caster had to pull out of the July show. So obviously, Mike King, he's going to find, a very suitable replacement. So as soon as
Hey, Mike, I'm available.
as soon as
Former
they get
champ
him,
here.
we'll know, and we'll be telling, we'll be sharing that. We'll be telling everybody. And the only 2 matches set so far is that your ICW Women's Champ Kayla Sparks on her hot streak right now is going to be taking on Trish Adora. Okay, so if you need to know anything about either one of these, use the interwebs, Google them,
Interweb.
go check them out, and then the only match set for right now is the Stetsons are going to be taking on To Infinity and Beyond, and if you don't know who they are, you are missing out. Cheech, who has been wrestling some ICW matches as of late, is bringing back his old tag team partner, Colin Delaney. Okay, so I don't think it's a far stretch to say that this will be the Stetsons' biggest
obstacle in retaining.
As of yet.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that is, and that is no shade to everyone else they've taken on. Greed, that's a new,
this is just a different
young
level
and hungry
of
tag team.
competition.
Yeah, like these are veterans. Okay, like it's gonna be big. And then of course there's we don't know what's gonna happen yet. But there's our champion, Coffin.
That's actually what I asked you about. I know he's
just been rolling around taking pictures with the belt. I mean, have you seen him? He's been sending me pictures.
I actually spoke with McFoley about McFoley had met Coffin the night before, and I asked, and when I gave him the card, I was like, hey, this is who I am. You met our champion or whatever. And I know he's on this extensive press tour, like meeting fans and everything. My question is, when is he going to fit us back into the schedule? Because I missed the big guy. Like,
I'm sure,
and I know he's got a hectic schedule. I know he's been traveling with the belt and everything.
You know what? I think if we go a little earlier, like maybe whenever we can fit him in, if we can start at like 11:30, maybe he can fit us in on his daily abouts of all the photos and all the stuff that he's doing.
I think I can arrange that because I want to I have some questions. I actually maybe want to sit down and set it up interview style and just talk to the champ. Like, he is our WFR champion, baby.
Yeah.
Somebody's walking in.
This is not happening, is it?
Oh.
Really?
You guys gonna defend this belt or what? You gotta hold on to it too, like the 2 butt buddies that you are. You guys gonna defend this belt?
We can't just
holding
have
on to this belt the whole time. You gonna defend it or what?
You are more than welcome to try
defend
something.
This belt. Just sit there. You guys are like the 2 little homos with this belt, just sitting there. Oh, we get championship.
Dude,
just be
what is
mindful of
wrong
your
with you?
surroundings, gentlemen? Be mindful of your surroundings.
What is wrong with you? This guy, I'm telling you. Anyways, all right, he's gone. Sorry about that.
I'd like to apologize to everybody for that very inconsiderate.
And you know what's crazy too? Is in the next show, he's going to be as happy as can be.
Dude, like
it's as soon as he's around us, his mood just sours.
What it is? I think he's he's essentially one of those guys that can't handle somebody being more successful of them. So, and he gets jealous.
You know what? You know what we need to do though?
Whoop his ass?
Well, no,
I'm down with that.
Because obviously that didn't work. Okay, that didn't work. I mean, we not only did we do it, but we had the Wrestle Fandom Radio Champion even do that. Okay, you know what we got to do? We got to find a way to extend the olive branch and actually make things cool with him again. So I mean, we can't have every he's throwing slurs out here. We can't have him doing that. Like he's not even really like that. That's how angry he is at us. We got to find a way to make everything nice and cool. All right. Well,
I don't know.
We'll try it. You know what? I have some ideas. I think we'll be able to make things cool. All right.
I have an idea. We'll talk about it later. But
We'll talk about it. Not on air.
Not on air.
We gotta finish what we're doing. But yeah, so we might have to go a little earlier. So be on the lookout. Some shows might be starting at 11:30, just so we can get our champ back in here because he's a busy guy. I mean, he's got places to be, taking pictures with his belt.
And like I think it'd be very beneficial for us to have him.
Absolutely.
I want to pick his brain, man.
Yeah. I mean, we got to get him in here for the proper interview.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and and then again, Todd will be back next week too. So
yep.
So that'll be great. Especially, I'm sure Todd wants to meet the champ, ask him some questions.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do we got anything else, or
literally, the real big news this past week has been the Jeff Hardy incident. There really isn't anything to touch upon right now. Did we even have a top 5 for this week?
I don't know. Do you want to think up something real quick, and then is there even anything?
Not off the top of my head.
No, we don't. I mean, it's not that we don't exactly have to do it. It's just something we like to do.
All right.
But I don't know. Is there anything else big? You know what else because a lot of times I feel like we focus on some of like the business part and the politics and like what's happening in the news and all that stuff like that. I'm thinking maybe we should, when between show to show, we should highlight whoever has like the best match that week, whichever company, whoever, and just like what the match of the week was, and really talk about and focus on the wrestling, because that's, yes, you want to go out there, you want to tell the story, you want to keep the narrative going and push 100%. Everything. But at the same time, like, I feel like everything that we talk about, we also, sometimes we forget to talk about the wrestling.
Right.
And
I agree. And just like, there's so much product out there too. It's hard to.
Exactly.
And like, I know we will follow the best we can. A lot of it is.
It'll be what we saw.
Right.
You know what 100%. I mean? And that could be like, hey, we saw some indie match shared from something that, watch this, you know what I mean? Or like, whatever match, Will Ospreay had somewhere, or, like, I think, didn't Switchblade just become the New Japan champ?
Yep. Yes,
I mean, that's big, like, so obviously there's going to be a lot going on, especially for Forbidden Door. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Why didn't they just announce that Mox was just gonna be it's so obvious what the end game was.
We called it last week.
It's like, okay, here's this here, like, and this person's gonna take on Mox. Oh, of course Mox is gonna win. He's the person he didn't have to do anything in order to be that.
That's literally what I called last week.
Yeah, of course. It's anyone could see like that, and it's like, and in all reality, yes, it's like Mox is bigger than like O'Reilly.
Oh yeah,
but O'Reilly's a better wrestler.
O'Reilly.
Like O'Reilly's a better wrestler. And no offense to Moxley, like in his sleep, like his mat skills are. He can take anybody. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him. I think he's way better now than he ever was. But in terms of like pure wrestling, it's like, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to watch like probably the best actually like mat skills wrestling, an Iron Man match between him and Danielson would be like one of the best matches you could probably ever watch in that company. They can go at it. They would go at it all day and it'd be unbelievable. Yeah. So, but yeah, do we got anything else?
No, I think that's it, bro.
All right. So yeah, we're the next couple of weeks here, we're definitely gonna try and get the champ in. We'll be sharing the info on the page. And you'll be seeing it.
I really want to.
Todd will be back next week.
Try to get more guests in too. Shout out to Seasonal Sports.
Absolutely.
If you need anything done, hit up our boy Fried. Our Wrestle Fandom stores in the link, like Garrett said. Hit Josh up at Rockin' Horse Tattoo if you need some ink. Follow us on our socials. Wrestle Fandom has the Facebook page. Movie Madness has the Facebook page. Look for us on TikTok at Joey Stones.
That's about it. Yeah, we're going to get out a little earlier. I think Uncle Louie show is coming, and that's going to be on today. So we're by the way.
Movie Madness.
Yeah, we're going to be recording some more episodes, and you may even see a live one. So tune in for that.
All right, guys.
All right, and we will see everybody else next week. All right.